Okay. Hey. Hey, y'all. I am just going to go over the review, the Unit 7 review. So I'm going to record myself going over all the answers. So if you did this review, you can look at the answer key or you can just listen to my explanations. And I'm sorry that this is the best that I can do. And so I really don't know like how well it's going to be seen. So I'm just going to try my best. All right. So is this relationship linear? So to check if it's linear, we need to check the rate of change. We need to check the rate of change. I hope y'all can see this. So how much are they changing over the x's? So -2 to 0, +2, +2, +2. And then here is +1, +1, +1. So the change in y over the change in x. The change in y is 1. Change in x is 2, and it's constant. So yes, it's linear because there's a constant rate of change. Constant rate of change. Number 2 is asking the same thing. Is it linear? So I need to check my rate of change. And the x's are again +1, +1, +1. And I check my y's. This is +3, +5, +7. So this is not linear because there's not a constant rate of change. So a constant rate of change means it's changing the same time, the change in y, the change in x, or here it's 3/1, 5/1, 7/1, so it's not constant. Number 3, what is the constant rate of change between the two quantities? So whenever it's asking for the rate of change, we need to make sure we use our units. So again, here it's +2. And down here, it looks like +6. So my change in y over my change in x is 6/2, which is 3. And now I need to use my units. And so because the y is on the top, I'm going to use my number of pages. So 3 pages per minute. 3 pages per minute. All right, I hope you can see that. So right now we're on number 4. Determine the slope. So my slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And so I'm going to just go through this. I hope you can hear me. 9 minus -1 is 9 plus 1 over 2 minus -3 is 2 plus 3. 9 plus 1 is 10. 2 plus 3 is 5. So this slope is 2. Number 5, I'm going to subtract -8 minus 4, and then 1 minus 1, -12 over 0. And since 0 is on the bottom, I know this is undefined. Remember to type it into your calculator if you're not sure. All right, -5 plus 5, because it's minus -5. 1 plus 1, because it's minus -1, so 0/2, which is going to be 0. Type it into your calculator if you're not sure. What is the slope of a road that rises 5 feet for every horizontal change of 90? So 5/90, which can reduce to 1/18. So the slope is 1/18. Okay, so I just want to make sure you can see. All right, so I'm going to go over these two right here. The amount of cheese a chef needs and the number of pizzas being made are in a linear proportional relationship. It's proportional because it goes to the origin. And you have your number of pizzas, x, and your cheese, y. Determine the slope. So the slope is the change in y over the change in x, or you could do the slope formula, or you could just count. So I'm just going to count up. Now, I'm not going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 because these are counting by 4. So I'm going to go up 16 over 2, which is 8. So my slope is 8. Interpret the slope means to use units. So that means 8, and remember you start with your y. So 8 ounces of cheese per pizza. And then what does the 0.00 represent? Don't say the origin. The 0.00 represents 0 pizzas need 0 ounces of cheese. Okay? Now let's move to the back. All right, so let me make sure you can see. Okay, so number 9 is at the top. A local fast food restaurant takes in $9,000 for a 4-hour period. Write a direct variation equation for the relationship between income and number of hours, and 2, estimate how many hours it would take to earn $20,250. So first I need to find K to write my equation, and K is Y over X, and Y is going to be my money and X is my hours, because you first need to have your hours working before you can make money. The fast food restaurant is not going to take any money in if it doesn't work. So 9,000 divided by 4 is 2,250. So my equation is Y equals 2,250X. That's my equation. Now I need to estimate 20,250. That is money, so this is a Y value. So I'm going to plug it into my Y. And so I'm going to plug it into my Y, solve for X, so I would divide both sides, and I end up getting 9 hours. This fast food company would have to work for 9 hours to make that money. All right, so number 10, you are going to find the slope. So I'm going to count rise over run. So you see my 2 dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I went down, so it's a negative 6. 1, 2. So a negative 3. Find the slope of the graph. Here is your line right here, and this is a 0 slope because it's a horizontal line. So it's a 0 slope. Plus, you don't count rise over run. Rise over run. The rise would be 0, and the run could be 1, 2, 3, which would still be 0. Okay. Number 12, a recipe for 2 dozen corn muffins calls for 3 cups of flour. The number of muffins varies directly. Okay, so the number of muffins is your Y, varies directly with the amount of flour. That's your X's, because it's that phrase, varies directly. Write a direct variation equation for the relationship between the number of cups of flour and the number of muffins. Estimate how many cups of flour are needed to make 6 dozen muffins. All right, so first I need to find K. K is Y over X. So my Y is the number of muffins. So 2 dozen muffins would be 24 muffins over 3 cups of flour. So my K is 8. Y equals 8X. There is my equation. That's part 1. Part 2, I mean to estimate how much flour is 6 dozen. So 6 times 12 is 72. Whoops, 72. And that is my Y value because muffins are Y. So 72 equals 8X, which means X is 9 cups of flour. All right. Number 13, the cost of cherry sours. Ooh, I love cherry sours. Let me put a little heart there. Cherry sours varies directly, so Y cost varies directly with the number of pounds of bought. 2 pounds of cherry sours cost $5.50. If you paid $22, how many pounds of cherry sours did you buy? Find K, write an equation, and solve. So K is Y over X. So Y is the cost. So $5.50 over 2 pounds, which is 2.75. So there's K. Now an equation is you just put it into the equation. There's the equation. So part 1, part 2. Part 3 is $22 is my Y because that's my cost. Here's my equation. $22 is 2.75x. And then when I solve it, I think I get 8 pounds. I'm going to type it in my calculator and see. 8 pounds, yep. So here are my answers. 1, 2, 3. All right, next. Determine whether the linear function is a direct variation. So I need to check the ratios y over x? If so, determine the constant of variation. And if not, explain why not. So I need to check my ratios. 12 over 6, 18 over 7, 24 over 8. And are these equal? Well, this is equal to 2, and this is equal to 3. So these are not equal. So my answer is not a direct variation because ratios are not equal. And that's my explaining. And I showed you right here. Okay, so last two are equations. I'm going to solve these equations. All right, so if you have questions, email me, but that's how I went over this review. I know it was quick, but email me if you have questions.